Greetings! Today, for our homework, or preparation rather, we are going to look at maths in Python. So, let's get started. Here, as we learnt in the last lesson, we have made two variables. X has a value of 7 and Y has a value of 5. So, I will do some maths with these two numbers. First, I want to add them together. So to add them, I type in print and then speech commas within brackets. That's the right one. I'll get that in a minute. And then X plus Y. So X plus Y is there. Now, if I come here to symbols and press run, right click, run symbols. Oh look, the answer's down there. It's 12. How about that? Bit of a surprise for us. What about if I want to subtract them instead? Well, it's pretty similar. I just type in print, open brackets, X minus Y. And if I now press play again, hopefully, yep, there we are, 12 and 2. Now, the problem here, though, is you don't know what is happening here. We just got a number. There's nothing with it to say what's happened. So let's change that, shall we? So to add put a label next to it, you need to use, first and foremost, speech marks. So, inside the speech marks, I'm going to type add, and then after the speech marks, but before the X, I'm going to link the two together. You can see a red underline that doesn't like that, but it will soon. Y, there's a comma, and now everyone's happy. If I come down here, I'm going to type here minus, close speech marks, and put a comma. And now they're all linked together. If I run it, add, it gives me 12, minus gives me 2. Sweet, pretty easy, huh? Right, let's try the next one. The next one is much more interesting. Print, and then this time I want to multiply. Now, multiply can be confusing for people because X, and what's a multiply sign? Well, to us it's X. XXY. That's not right, is it? We need to think in computing terms. You might remember from Excel that multiply for a computer is the star symbol. So now I'm just going to put a space there so we've got something divided. I'm going to press run the program and suddenly multiply. 7 5s are 35. Beautiful. So a star is the sign we use for multiply. Next one, divide. Divide, again, there is no divide symbol on your keyboard, is there? So how do we do it? Well, you simply put X, and then you put a / and then a Y. So now, we've got those two going together. So now, again, I will put a space in here. So there's a space between the word of a number. And then I'm going to run it again. And look what happens. 1.4. So X7, 5 goes into 7, 1.4 times. Sounds right to me. Okay, so that is the simple math symbols. Add a plus, minus is a dash, a minus sign, multiply is a star, and that's what star here, and divide is a /. So, that's the first part of today's prep session. But there's more, you lucky things. So, casting in Python. Now, last time we learnt how to use inputs. So I'm going to make an input here. Number 1 equals inputs. Speech marks in there. Enter first number. And then here, num2 equals input. Enter second number. How about that? Nice and easy. And then below I'm going to print num1 plus num2. Now if I asked you now what you thought was going to appear from this, you'd probably say it'll take number 1, number 2 and add them together, right? So let's see. As always, the first time you run something, you must go to it, right click and press run. Enter first number, I'm going to say 6. Enter second number, I'm going to say 87. So add them together, what happens? 687. The reason this happens is because it thinks that these numbers here are text. Computers know 3 sorts of data, and these are the ones I'm going to show you right now. They have they have text or string, and text can be anything, but it will treat it as writing. They have what can be called an integer, an int. An int is a whole number, so no decimals at all. So those numbers can be handy too. But if you want a decimal, if you want decimal points, and you want to go and try those out, that's absolutely fine. You just write beforehand float. So that's another data type. Float is any decimal number. Now I'm sure you are thinking now, 1 minute, why do computers need integers for whole numbers and floats for decimal numbers? Surely any number can be broken down. And that's not always true. So, for example, if you said to me, how many cats do you have? What would you say if I said to you, I've got 3.5 cats? Yeah, some things don't really work as decimals, do they? So some numbers have to be whole, and some numbers can have decimal points or fractions attached to them. Okay, so how do you turn the inputs here, which are strings or just normal text, into floats or decimal numbers? Well, it's actually quite easy. You do something called casting. So these two variables here are both strings or text, but we need them to add together. We need the computer to treat them as numbers. So to treat them as numbers, we need to do something called casting. Now casting is easy. You just write the name of the data type you want it to be, open brackets, and then close brackets. So float number 1 plus float number 2. So either number can be entered as a decimal, and it will now run. So let's try this again now. First number is 5. Second number, let's decimal, we use a float, let's say 3.14 pi. So the answer is going to be 8.14. Nice and easy, nice and simple. So we've taken numbers in now, and we have changed them round into floats. You could put int here, but you could only take a whole number. 3.14 wouldn't be allowed. If that's an int, it would just say 3. Okay, but we have now learnt about casting and inputs. So today we have learnt about symbols in Python: add, minus, multiply, divide. We have learnt about casting and inputs, so you can add inputs together, and we have learnt about data types, so strings, integers, floats, whole numbers, and finally we have learned how to change inputs using those. I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and there's a lot more stuff on the VLE to help you. Thank you and good